What's up, guys? This is Chris from DraftDashboard.com.
Here are my DFS picks for NFL Super Bowl. Top DFS picks.
These picks apply for DraftKings and FanDuel. Before I get started, please drop a like on this video and hit that red subscribe button
And hit that bell icon
so you don't miss our new videos.
In this video, I'm going to go over my top picks for this week's NFL slate. And if you stick around to the very end of this video, we'll use the Draft Dashboard tools to make a DFS lineup using the picks we just made. Okay guys, NFL Super Bowl. Let's take a look at the quarterback position. So I like Matthew Stafford from the LA Rams playing the Cincinnati Bengals, who have a middle-of-the-pack defense overall. They're middle-of-the-pack defending opposing quarterbacks. Matthew Stafford has averaged 21.8 fantasy points per game on the season, gets about 2 rush attempts per game. Even though that number's gone up quite a bit in the playoffs in the last 3 games, he's getting between 4 and 6 rush attempts per game. He's going to be about 50% owned, projected at 20.7 fantasy points here in the Super Bowl. He's 10,800 DraftKings salary, and Matthew Stafford has scored 24, 32, and 24 fantasy points in the last 3 games. And Vegas thinks there's going to be 48.5 points scored in this game, with the Rams favored by 4. So I do like the Rams in this game, although I think they could just win by a field goal here. So I'd be very careful of that spread if you are looking to place a bet on this game. I would just take the LA Rams to win. That would be the money line on the LA Rams, even though it's going to be about negative 200. So you bet 100, you get 50 back, or 150 total. So I know that's not super sexy for a lot of you guys out there, but I do think that that's the best bet here going into the Super Bowl. I think the Rams have an advantage with Cooper Kupp and Odell Beckham Jr. on the offense. And Matthew Stafford does have the better matchup out of the 2 quarterbacks. Although Joe Burrow has been playing pretty well, he's only 200 less than Matthew Stafford at 10,600 DraftKings salary. He scored 22, 16, and 18 fantasy points in the last 3 games. He got 5, 2, and 2 rush attempts in those games. So I do prefer Matthew Stafford here versus the Cincinnati Bengals.
Before I continue with the picks, I'm excited today because we added a new contest for everyone watching.
If you want to enter the drawing for $25 PayPal,
all you need to do is like this video, hit that subscribe button, and make a quick comment below to be entered into the drawing. We'll reply to a random comment and let you know that you won.
And we'll send you $25 PayPal.
So it's that easy, and we pick a new winner every Saturday and announce them in our video. So get your comment in now so I can add another entry for you.
Okay, let's take a look at the running back position. I like Joe Mixon from the Cincinnati Bengals playing the LA Rams, who have a good defense overall. They've been good versus opposing running backs. Now, Joe Mixon is the stud on the slate. He is 9,600 DraftKings salary, but he's averaging 18.6 fantasy points per game on the season, getting an average of 18.3 rush attempts per game and 3 pass targets per game. He scored 15, 23, and 12 fantasy points in the last 3 games off of 21, 14, and 17 rush attempts on top of 3, 7, and 5 pass targets. So he's getting over 20 touches a game for the last 3 games. Quite a bit of volume. He's going to be about 36% owned. So I think it's his salary that's going to put some people off of this play. But he is the best running back on the slate by a pretty big margin. Although Cam Akers is only 6,400 DraftKings salary. So there's going to be a good incentive to drop down to Cam Akers so you can fit some other studs in your lineup. That's why Joe Mixon isn't going to get the ownership that he should be getting because of that high price tag.
So I think he's worth playing because he's got the biggest upside at the running back position by far on this slate. He could put in a monster game that breaks the slate. You might need him in your lineup to win. So I like Joe Mixon here versus the LA Rams. Now, of course, I also like Cam Akers at 6,400. I'll have a mix of both of these guys in my lineups. Cam Akers, the price is right. He hasn't really scored all that well in the past 3 games, only 6, 8, and 11 fantasy points, but he is getting the touches. He got 13, 24, and 17 rush attempts in the last 3 games, plus 1, 3, and 2 pass targets. So between 14 and 20 plus touches, and he's 2/3 the price of Joe Mixon, and he's going to be about 38% owned, so a little bit higher ownership on Cam Akers, and that's because the price tag is drastically lower, and he could put in a good game here and get a 20 plus fantasy point game. But if you're looking at the two, Joe Mixon definitely has a higher ceiling, where Cam Akers is more going to be like a value play, so you can get those other players in your lineup. But I do like Cam Akers here versus the Cincinnati Bengals.
Real quick, guys, I got great news. For a limited time, we're offering a full 30-day trial to Draft Dashboard. You can try all the tools for NFL. NBA is right around the corner. This is a great time to get in and try everything for 1 month. The tools are all about saving research time. You can see the last 3 games, the fantasy points per game, the targets they got per game, so you can see how involved they are in the offense, the rushes they got per game. Seeing all this stuff on one screen helps you save time and make better picks. Oh, and if you're tired of doing research every day, we just added a cheat sheet that shows hand-picked plays for the slate. No confusing stat lines, no headaches, just a simple cheat sheet that shows the absolute best players for your lineups.
Okay, let's take a look at the wide receiver position. So my favorite wide receiver on the slate is Odell Beckham Jr. from the LA Rams, playing the Cincinnati Bengals, who have a middle-of-the-pack defense overall. They're middle-of-the-pack defending opposing wide receivers. Odell Beckham Jr. has averaged 9.2 fantasy points per game on the season, getting an average of 5.9 pass targets per game. But this is a guy who excels under pressure. He loves the bright lights, and no bigger spotlight than the Super Bowl. And he scored 23, 13, and 17 fantasy points in the last 3 games off of 11, 8, and 4 pass targets. So while Cooper Kupp draws that coverage, you got Odell Beckham Jr. available to make some big plays. It's going to be about 33% owned, which I think that ownership is way too low for Odell Beckham Jr. I mean, it's about right, but I think he could be 40 to 50% owned just for the upside and that he's got in this game. He's got one of the best cornerback wide receiver matchups on the slate. So he's got weak pass coverage with Cooper Kupp out there drawing the attention. And like I said, he loves the bright lights, so he could put up a monster game here in the Super Bowl. He's projected at 18.2 fantasy points here in the Super Bowl. He's 8,400 DraftKings salary. So I like Odell Beckham Jr. here versus the Cincinnati Bengals. Okay, moving on to the tight end position. You got to keep an eye on the injury news for Tyler Higbee and CJ Uzomah. But assuming that CJ Uzomah does play, I like CJ Uzomah from the Cincinnati Bengals, playing the LA Rams, who have a good defense overall. They're middle of the pack defending opposing tight ends. CJ Uzomah has averaged 8 fantasy points per game on the season, getting an average of 3.9 pass targets per game. He's going to be about 21% owned. He did get injured last game, didn't score any fantasy points, got 2 pass targets. And that was a real bummer because he hurt some of my lineups. He was playing really well up until that injury. But if he does come back to play in the Super Bowl, I like him here again. He's 4,400 DraftKings salary. And he scored 14 and 18 fantasy points in the 2 games before he got injured off of 8 and 6 pass targets. So I like CJ Uzomah here versus the LA Rams.
If you want to try all these daily fantasy tools for yourself, click the link in the description below this video or just go to draftdashboard.com. You can use our DFS lineup optimizer to build quality lineups using our picks and your own custom player pool. Click the link in the description below this video and try all these daily fantasy tools right now. Thanks so much for watching. Oh, and don't forget to subscribe to this channel and hit that bell icon so you can get instant updates whenever we post a new video.
Thank you so much for watching, everyone. If you enjoyed this video, please smickety smash that like button and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Oh, and please comment below with your favorite player for this NBA slate. I love to hear what you guys have to think. Thanks again, and good luck.